methodology and framework, highlight the major key findings and insight about the findings of our digital economy trend report. Understanding the evolving digital economy helps stakeholders identify new opportunities to drive growth and impact in the global digital economy. DCO released first edition of the Digital Economy Trend Report 2024 during the WEF event in Davos, and the second edition of the DET Report 2025 was released in IGF Riyadh. Key value proposition of the Digital Economy Trend Report. The Digital Economy Trend Report is intended to serve as a one-stop shop, a comprehensive resource of insight on the digital economy. The report also aims to offer guidance and establish groundwork for the stakeholder collaboration within the global digital economy. Key objective of the DET Report 2025, identify digital economy trends to define, refine digital agendas, and foster sustainable growth within the private sector. Inform and empower the digital economy stakeholder with data-driven insights. Offer quality information to boost cooperation among the stakeholders. The DCO Digital Economy Trend Report serves three key groups: public sectors, private sectors, citizen. As you see in the slides, in the public sector, policymaker, economies, head of states, digital leaders and ministers, and in terms of private sector, you can see the founder, entrepreneurs, and in the citizen, individual, futurist, and the visionaries. We adopted a purpose-built 5-stage methodology to define, to identify, and measure the key digital economy trends involving scoping, literature review to identify the trends, validation of trend through experts, collection of primary data, and data analysis and visualization. In this slide, you can see the more detail that we adopted a framework that, for the methodology that consists of different components. The first component is more focused on the definition of the key element of the digital economy trend report. The second element is more focused to identify the identification of the trend through literature review and secondary data research. And we shortlisted under a certain criteria 40 out of 150 trends, and in the next phase, expert panels were consulted to review this 40 shortlisted trends, and then we come into 18 digital trends. After that, the next stage that we gather the primary data that give us insight from the experts, from the CTOs and the technology experts. And in the last phase, we analyze this data analysis and make some visualization as you observe in our published report. Here you can see the DET report survey. So this is very important that we just not only to review the literature and get the secondary data, we also gather our own primary data from 300 CTOs and senior technologists, 60 policymakers, and 40 digital experts. In terms of like 300 CTOs, we select the companies who have at least 250 employees and work in at least 2 countries globally. So this is very comprehensive and is our own primary data that give us more reader more insight and more valuable, impactful digital economy trend report. In this slide, there is some insight about our survey that you can see that survey respondent identify finance, technology, media, and communication as a two most impacted sector by the digital economy. In this slide, you can see the survey respondent identified AI and advanced analytics as one of the top most digital technology priority for the growth of digital economy, followed by the encryption and cybersecurity and digital connectivity. Here you can see the key findings. DT survey respondent anticipate that the digital economy will grow at a rate of 8.5% in 2025, three times faster than the global digital economy, and will account for 21% of the global GDP. Digital technologies are reshaping the digital economy. We identify different findings, but top two expected benefit is that 41% better access. 41% of the respondents say that better access to goods and services. What exactly it means that digital transformation, e-commerce, digital platform, mobile, online platform make it easier, faster, and sometimes cheaper for the people to get what they want. Similarly, 30% of the respondents say greater goods and services affordability. And similarly, we identified two key challenges. One is the 43% responded that increase industry concentration of the respondents says increase gap between the capital and labor income. So in this slide, you can see some top trends by impact and economic, social, and environment. Similarly, you can observe that based on this report, when we conducted the survey and the expert consultation, 72% of the private sector's respondents mentioned that they are ready to utilize digital economy trend reports, digital trends to really take the benefit from it. 67% of the respondents expect that digital economy regulation to increase in 2025. There are some top priorities for the policymakers, like policymakers are more focused on the data privacy and the cybersecurity protection, supporting so these are the some, and you can get more insight in our reports when you read in more detail. Here you can see the region. This slide emphasizes on the top trends by the region. So, what is the states of the digital economic trend that we identify in terms of regions? So, you have more clue about the regions. So next slide is like our digital economy trends frameworks. So this framework, under this framework, we identify 18 trends under three key themes: sustainable, intelligent ecosystem, empowered communities, and trust and security. There are two main categories of the trend. We will like the current trends and the emerging trend. Current trends means that these trend has already impact on the stakeholders. For example, extending global connectivity, and the emerging trends that yet to be implemented and reinforced by the stakeholders. But definitely they have potential in the near future. So this is somehow our digital economy trend report framework. The first theme, as you see, the sustainable intelligent ecosystem, this theme is about working together to make sure tech grows faster, but in fair, transparent, and sustainable manner. Under this theme, we identify four current trends and two emerging trends. Second theme, this theme explores how digital economy transforms the lives of individuals and communities and focuses on managing key challenges like digital divide, financial inclusion, and under this theme we identify five current trends and emerging trends. Theme 3, trust and security. So enablers are the factors that help a trend to grow or progress more quickly. In the report, we identify these 7 enablers. You can find the detail in our report as well. So this is somehow the blueprint of our digital economy trend report that consists of 18 key trends shaping the digital economy in 2025 by their positive social impact. Additionally, we also appending a data bank that consists of the digital economy trend of our previous efforts and this current digital economy trend report, and it will be an impactful outcome for the stakeholder over a period of 5 years. I stop here and hand over the floor to moderator of the today webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Syed, for this very important and insightful information shared about the report's key findings. I would like to get to the next part of our webinar, which is going to be the panel discussion, and invite Dr. Margareta Jenyek, Mr. William Hoffman, and also Dr. Syed Iftikhar back to the discussion, and start with a question that points out maybe one of the most important findings in the report, and turn to Dr. Margareta. With the digital economy expected to grow 3 times faster than the global economy, how can Foresight help us navigate this rapid change?
Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Judith, and thank you for the insightful introduction into the trends report. Foresight is crucial for understanding the digital economy. And why are we talking about foresight? Because trends report, like the digital economy trends report by DCO, is part of it's a foresight exercise in a way. We're looking at trends and how they're going to impact the digital economy over the next 12 to 18 months. So we're looking into the future. The digital economy is evolving very, very rapidly. We see here on the it's a very fast-paced area of the economy, and it grows according to different. It's very different also in terms of how it's done, how business is done in the digital economy, how policymakers are challenged in the digital economy. So this transition towards the digital economy creates a lot of uncertainty for stakeholders. At the same time, while it creates a lot of uncertainty, it creates also opportunities and risks that the stakeholders want to anticipate. They want to leverage the opportunity, and they obviously want to prepare for the risks. So that's why it's very important for all stakeholders to look at a foresight exercise such as the Digital Economy Trends Report, and to identify those areas where they need to prepare, to identify for their own operations and for their own work, the areas of opportunity that they wish to leverage, but also in order to be able to understand better the uncertainty, to reduce the uncertainty, and to take better decisions. Uncertainty is very damaging in terms of the decision-making because it tends to paralyze people. So in a foresight or decision makers, so in a foresight exercise, what we aim to do is to frame the uncertainty in a better way. We cannot fully do away with it, but we frame the uncertainty in order to give the stakeholders a tool to take better decisions. To look at two examples from the Digital Economy Trends Report, for example, for theme 1, which covers the sustainable intelligent ecosystems. What would foresight mean? What would preparedness mean? It would mean to look at early signals that inform the sustainable digital ecosystems, such as power demand from data centers for artificial intelligence, which has been rising very strongly, and to adjust infrastructure before bottlenecks hit. right? So we would be looking at some of those important signals in order to be able to continue functioning in a good way and to leverage those trends for the digital economy. For theme 2, empowered communities, it would look at anticipating skills gaps in order to help communities benefit more strongly from the digital economy, to implement upskilling and reskilling programs, or to look at another barrier for communities to participate in the digital economy, which is affordability of the devices, of connectivity. And we would be looking at, for some of the potential solutions could be subsidy programs or public-private collaborations in order to reduce the cost and increase affordability for the important acts. Another area that is very important for the digital economy, and that can be anticipated through some of the foresight exercises, are emerging risks. So they require planning. We have seen earlier in Dr. Said's presentation some of the results that point to a tension between the wider deficits, between the benefits that are being accrued in different parts of society. And the foresight exercise can also be a way of uniting as the society, a company or a country behind a common objective and a common vision for their entity. When we look at some of the data across stakeholders, 41% of the business stakeholders accept wider access to goods and services through so a significant benefit for people through the digital economy expansion, but 43% at the same time fear greater industry concentrations. So there's a tension between those two, a negative effect and a challenge, and those need to be balanced out. And same applies for critical issues such as artificial intelligence governance or connectivity across jurisdictions. So it is important to bring those stakeholders around the table in order to identify where does the balance lie and how do we solve some of those challenges. And reports such as the DET trend reports can respect as well. I'll stop here and let's go to the next question.
Thank you very much, Dr. Margareta. I would like to turn both of you, Bill and Margareta, for the next question. With so much focus today on AI and data, the Digital Economy Trends 2025 report, first theme, the sustainable intelligent ecosystems, highlights how these technologies are driving the digital economy. What trends under this theme do you see as most impactful right now, and how do you think they will shape the future? I will start with Mr. William. Bill, please.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you for the question. So when you look at the AI ecosystem, one of the core trends that you'll see both in the report and throughout a variety of different news forecasts in 2025 is the shift to small language models, specialized, accessible, and localized AI. And I think in many ways, this represents a critical tipping point in the beginnings of a shift from cloud-based AI services to edge-based and localized services. And so I think 2025 is one of those key pivotal years where you can really start to see this momentum occurring. In particular, from an industry-specific perspective, you can see the adoption of models such as DeepSeek or Falcon 2 or Llama 3 being deployed, at least being experimented with within specific industry contexts. So healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, clearly robotics are all areas where you can start to see the momentum and adoption picking up. Additionally, one of the core elements of the specialized and localized AI solutions is their ability to be deployed locally. So concerns around privacy, concerns around data protection elements, concerns on just making sure that they are cost effective in terms of both their energy consumption, the GPU shortages, and the rising cost for APIs to exist the cloud-based models. So all of those factors are really starting to be contributors to the adoption of specialized models and localized models. And the last bit that I think is really telling is the use of AI for developing low-code, no-code platforms. And so making these tools accessible to non-technical experts, democratizing the ability to create and design these tools is something that's also very compelling. And I think also that the ability of these new, if you will, non-technical experts is that it allows researchers or other specific areas that typically didn't have the budgets to address these concerns now have access to the technology. So overall, I think one of the core drivers from the AI perspective is, in simple terms, the democratization of the technology and the impact it can have at local levels, at regional levels, and obviously the global level as well. So thank you very much, and back to you, Judith.
Thank you very much. Dr. Margareta, your take? You're muted.
Indeed, I'm muted.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you. So in terms of the trends that are likely to be most impactful under the intelligent ecosystems, I think the one that we were looking at is expanding global connectivity as well. I think there is huge promise from expanding global connectivity. When we talk about global connectivity, we essentially say increasing the coverage of 5G networks, for example, or even low Earth orbit satellites, in order to connect bigger shares of the populations to a very powerful world. There is significant economic and social impact. One of the questions we asked in the digital economy, or that was asked in the digital economy trend survey, was about the potential social, economic, and sustainability impact. And when we look at the results from the social and economic impact, the expanding global connectivity trend is ranked second for expected social impact and third for economic impact. So this is a very strong positioning for this particular trend. Why is it so strong? Because it could bring those benefits of the digital economy to unconnected populations, right? So if you think about expanding the 5G network or LEO satellite support, it could bring IoT, so Internet of Things, and AI interference to farms, mines, and remote clinics, and thus, improving the lives of many people, livelihoods of many people who have not been connected yet, especially in rural areas, and especially those underserved populations that were not able to access this yet. What is needed in order to access this better connectivity, this universal connectivity, is one particular area, which is digital public infrastructure, and this is something we have been talking about a lot. That it's an important topic in the debate around the digital economy. It includes digital IDs, payments, and also data exchange rails that let citizens step new services at an important scale as well. So the digital public infrastructure can multiply the value from connectivity. So the G20 now tracks the equitable access on adoption, efficiency, and safeguards. And these are actually very, very crucial infrastructure elements for every economy. So if we see the digital public infrastructure deployment more broadly, then the connectivity's impact really goes beyond GDP and can improve social situations and livelihoods of people, like telemedicine, remote clinics, e-learning services, and also rural entrepreneurs who can tap into the networks more strongly. So it's very important to pair those things, those two elements together, in order to achieve full impact.
Thank you very much. I will turn to Dr. Syed with my next question. So if I understand correctly, affordable access is the hinge on which the first theme, sustainable intelligent ecosystems, will either narrow or widen inequality. As 5G and satellite rollouts accelerate, how can stakeholders, in particular governments, try and address this digital divide?
Thank you, Dr. Judith. Despite rapid digital growth, the gap in connectivity, affordability of digital devices, reliable energy infrastructure, digital government maturity, and availability of digital skills lead to missed opportunity for both individual and communities. undermining economic prospect and social well-being. The DCO, Digital Economy Trend Report 2025, also identifies such gaps and propose solutions to close the digital divide to enhance the growth of digital economy. For example, invest in inclusive digital infrastructure. The DCO support member states to identify key digital infrastructure gap through its Digital Economy Navigator DEN and mobilize cross-border investment. Government should leverage public-private partnership to expand affordable digital infrastructure, for example, broadband connectivity into underserved areas. Focus on upskilling as a critical necessity. Digital upskilling from basic literacy to specialized tech skills also ensures citizens to create and not just consume digital services. The intergovernmental organizations, including DCO, need to support countries, including DCO member states, with capacity building programs to ensure local communities are not left behind as a new technologies roll out. Such communities need specialists who combine technical experts with knowledge of local context. This is very important, and we also focus on many perspectives from the local context in our digital economy trend report, including regulatory compliance, security, and business model innovation to close the digital divide. Another aspect, adaptive and pro-innovation regulation and digital governance framework. Again, this is not only the government, the private sector, the global community, part of the business, the civil society, international organization also need to contribute. Like government should balance consumer protection with pro-innovation policies so that SMEs and startups can flourish. Governments can use regulatory sandboxes to test new digital technologies under the controlled conditions. The global community can collaborate to align digital governance framework, inclusive digital policies, monitoring local social impact and best practices, sharing for consistent and agile digital governance to ensure the digital technology, particularly like artificial intelligence, reducing rather than amplifying the digital divide. Another important aspect, multi-stakeholder engagement. As you know, digital cooperation organization, we are more focused, more believe on the cooperation. Stakeholder, including civil society, academia, and the private sector, each bring unique insights. Government should co-create inclusive solution rather than impose top-down mandate. So this is somehow my viewpoint on the how we combat the digital divide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for linking that so clearly to theme 2, the empowered communities, which highlights how digital trends are reshaping the way people live, work, and interact. Of course, not all communities have the same capacity to benefit from these changes. So my next question is to you, Mr. William. What does the Digital Economy Trends 2025 report tell us about how digital transformation is playing out in different regions? And are there any real-world examples of communities that have made it work well that others could learn from?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Judith. I think one of the things the report highlights, and many other reports do as well, is that when it comes to digital transformation, it really is a context-based term. It relies on what are the shared challenges that collectively individuals and stakeholders in a given community or region have identified. What are some of the key leverage points that collectively all the different stakeholders need to be prioritized? And then what are the investments? Where are the plans and the outcome measurements and the indicators that everybody aligns on that need to change for effective and meaningful transformation and change? And so in many ways, digital transformation, it depends, right, of what's the challenge, how many different stakeholders are aligned, are the priorities clear, and are there focused and meaningful and measurable results that resources of time, energy, and skills are being devoted to. And so where you can see that coming to life, and this is in very broad strokes, but I think when you look at sub-Saharan Africa and the rapid adoption of mobile finance over the last 10 to 15 years, and how that's been able to truly transform the agriculture sector. And given some of the recent changes in 2025 and some of the changes in foreign assistance, how that sector is adapting, and the growth of insurance and microinsurance is now starting to take a lead, is one area where the transformative capabilities are areas that I think others could learn from. Likewise, in the healthcare sector, there's all types of rapid innovation happening in many, many different contexts, particularly in the pharmaceutical industry and some of the advanced learning there, and some of those use cases are highlighted in the report. And then clearly when it comes to using the tools and the mechanisms for training and educating and learning. In many ways, this webinar, right, is an example of leveraging digital technologies to educate stakeholders from a variety of perspectives on the trends and how to navigate this rapidly changing economy. So thanks for the opportunity, and back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bill. Now I would like to turn to our distinguished audience and involve you as well into our discussion. You see on this slide a QR code, and also you can find the link to this Slido page, where we would like to ask you to share with us what do you think are the biggest challenges within the digital economy. And within a minute, we will share with you the real life results, or how this world cloud will grow based on your responses. So please use the QR code or the code with the link from the chat. Please answer the question. We would like to really hear from your opinion, hear from you. What do you think is the biggest challenge from your perspective, from your field of expertise, or from work, from our personal experiences? What do you think is the biggest challenge within the digital economy? And I would ask the team to go to the Slido live page so we can see the results and see what your responses are, what our distinguished audience think about the biggest responses arrived or the more responses chosen, and then as we can see, what pops up is digital trust. For now, right, there is access inequality, privacy, access, and also infrastructure, the other connectivity gap in developing countries. Those are, and then still please share your opinion so we will catch this result. But it seems that this response is the digital trust that is the biggest issue or challenge from your perspective. Dr. Margareta, I would like to ask the question in the meantime to you. Considering the challenges arising from the digital economy trends highlighted by the audience, what key actions can be taken to maximize the benefits of our most impactful trends?
Thank you, Dr. Judith. I think it's very interesting that digital trust is coming up on top. I think it's a term that we've been hearing about a lot, and it's clearly pivotal to making the digital economy work better for everyone. I think digital trust is very hard to create. It's not a there's no silver bullet to create it, but I think there are a number of factors that or number of measures that countries can take in order to strengthen digital trust. One is certainly a certain type of regulatory framework to be put into place in order to limit the risks and focus on the benefits for the broader population. So limit the risks of innovation. There's always a risk associated with innovation, and we do want to make sure that innovations really serve the public interest and that we protect at the same time the public interest while we innovate as well. So a regulatory framework and that are adaptive and that can constantly adapt to the technology, which is not, it's easy to say, difficult to do, but the adaptive regulatory framework are a very important element, one very important element. I think the other one, it's also mentioned here, privacy protection, especially for some of the applications in the digital economy, to really work in the favor of people, such as financial transactions require a huge degree of privacy. Even greater degree of privacy is needed for health technology, health tech use, because if health data is shared, it can have, and it's misused, it can have significant disadvantages for those people whose data that is, right? So it's very important to harmonize and to strengthen data protection policies in this respect. I think I would also like to address maybe one of the issues that is coming here. And it's just in a number of the challenges that I mentioned: inequality, access, inclusion. I think there's a significant risk of splitting societies into the ones that have access and the ones that don't have access. And the gap, if we don't address this gap rapidly, this gap will be growing. And this includes not only connecting people, like I said earlier, I think it's about connectivity, but the other element that we see increasingly becoming more important is the access to energy. I think those countries and those shared segments of populations that have limited energy access are going to be worse off in future when the digital economy grows, because the new types of digital economy applications are very energy intensive, and energy will be needed in any case, and we should anticipate those bottlenecks and make sure that sufficient energy is available. Same applies, I think, so this is one element where regions also need to be supported. If we look a little bit going forward, I think it's a very fast moving space. There's a great need for anticipating the next level of cybersecurity threats. And maybe this is beyond, obviously, the 12 to 18 months time horizon that we're looking at. But quantum security standards is something that countries will probably need to, and AI governance is something that countries will need to start thinking about as well in order to create trust. And in those digital technologies, the earlier we think about those elements, the greater the trust will be.
Thank you very much. And also thank you for our distinguished audience to share your opinion about the biggest risks, so digital trust, as we see on the screen. I suggest we take, I would like to ask one more question from Dr. Said, and then please, in the meantime, ask your questions, put your questions in the chat, and we will have the chance to answer those questions very shortly. Before that, I would like to turn to Dr. Said. The report's conclusion emphasizes the need for greater public-private partnerships. Can you elaborate on why these partnerships are essential for the digital economy, and how can these types of collaboration be fostered? Dr. Said, you are muted.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Judith, for asking this question. Of course, public-private partnership is very critical. At the DCO, we really see public-private collaboration are essential for building an inclusive and sustainable digital economy. The Digital Economy Trend Report concludes that strong public-private partnerships are essential for accelerating digital public infrastructure, driving digital transformation, and scaling digital skills. Government can't build inclusive digital economy alone, and the private sector need policy supports and scale. When they work together, when we realize that this is the progress, that it is the collaboration of private sector and the public sectors. PPP capitalize on each stakeholder capacity to co-create digital solution that actually meet the people needs, ranging from mobile money to e-learning platform, are critical for the growth of digital economy. Private sector focuses on innovation and investment. Public sector reach, trust, and accountability. Public sectors also focus on to engage private sector, particularly for effective cooperation in advancing digital economy, particularly on these three key areas. One of the area is infrastructure. Building affordable, accessible have seen real success from implementing them. For example, some DCO members countries have launched joint initiative with the telecom service provider to bring digital services to remote areas and pair them with training program on microfinance access, practical steps toward building resilience, local digital economies. DCO is taking an enabler role in fostering digital economy PPPs by focusing on three aspects: promoting sharing digital infrastructure. The DCO work with the government and industries to open interoperable system, digital payment IDs, and data platform enabling scalable and inclusive digital economy services. Facilitating multi-stakeholder dialogue. The DCO brings together policymakers, tech leaders, and civil society through forums and roundtables to co-create digital economy policies and align strategies across sectors and borders. Invest in capacity building and digital skills is also one of the key aspects where government, private sector, and other stakeholders can cooperate to promote the public-private partnership. Thank you. Our moderator, Dr. Judith. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all of your insights. And I would like to have our audience again and encourage them to get more questions. We already have 4 questions that I will ask very soon. But before I share those questions with our speakers, here on the slide, you see a survey, a questionnaire that we would like you to please, in the meantime, until we continue the discussion and the questions from the audience, please, we would like to ask you to fill in this questionnaire. You can use the same Slido link or the QR code that is on the slide. So just read the QR code, or you have the link also in the chat. It's the same link, and it will drive you to this survey with 5 questions. Please give us your feedback on the webinar and the report. We're curious to hear from you. And then in the meantime, I would like to take those questions that we have in the chat. So the first question: in spite of the fact that the digital economy can bring prosperity in society, some Gen AI technologies like ChatGPT pose a threat to intellectual well-being. So that seems to be a question. Who would like to comment or respond to that? Margareta, please, Dr. Margareta. Thank you.
Yes, I think it's a very interesting question, and on many people's minds right now, what will happen over the longer term if artificial intelligence indeed becomes more powerful, and is there a threat to our well-being? I think if the recent wave of technology, and I'm speaking essentially around social media, is any guide on this issue, then we can see that indeed there have been some challenges related to the deployment of social media and individual well-being of people that were not addressed, and that we are looking at now, many countries are looking at now, and are putting into place measures and policies and regulations in order to limit negative effects of social media. Gaming is partly included into this as well, especially on the younger segment of the population. So while I don't think that there are many people who have an exact answer to this question, but there is certainly a risk that this will affect our well-being. We don't know yet in which ways. There are some very around this aspect, but I don't think we know yet how artificial intelligence will affect our well-being. So this definitely is space to be followed, and something that we need to anticipate and think more about in order to ensure that it's for the benefit of people and not to the detriment of individuals' well-being.
There was some disruption, I guess, in the internet connection. But thank you very much, Dr. Margareta. I would like to ask the next question from the chat, and please encourage also our audience to respond and take this survey feedback on the slide or the QR code or from the link on the chat. And then the next question we had, being one of the IT companies operating in Saudi Arabia, how DCO can support IT companies to promote culture of digitalization and awareness about the importance of digital economy among SMEs so that they can adopt the digital tools and think about the real application of AI in their processes. Who would like to answer that question?
Yeah, thank you very much. I can answer this question.
Dr. Syed, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. So I think it's a very valid and very interesting questions. Definitely, because as we explain in the reports and you can see in the digital economy trend report, we target particularly to the business sector as well, not only focus on the government. So for the private sector, we have different like initiatives at the DCO. We have a dedicated departments who are looking towards the startup entrepreneurs and SMEs and the partners as well. So we have an ecosystem that we will provide some support and promote their products in terms of to our member states. There is a special category of our partner, we call it observers. So you can connect with us and we can guide you how you become our observers. Another things that we are also have a different initiatives for the IT company, particularly the SMEs. We elevate startup passports, and we also have a very digital transformation initiatives impact platform, and we are working with the member state to identify needs and demands. And in this regard, we need also the private sector support based on their needs toward the digital solution to promote their digital transformation ecosystem as well. So these are some insights. So we are happy to cooperate and connect with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Syed. There is a question, the next question. Thank you so much for this insightful sharing. And I would love to hear your take about digital economy versus unemployment. That's a shorter question. Who would like to answer, comment on that?
I'll be happy to share a few thoughts and then maybe invite some of the other panelists. But I think central to the adoption of any technology, whether it's AI or you can look back in human history, but technologies are disruptive to labor. And the question is, what are some of the core values that socially need to be protected, need to be enhanced? So providing individuals with meaningful, productive livelihoods, I think, is a shared concern by everybody. And clearly, when you look at the adoption of AI within the digital economy, there are dislocations, right? There are risks to certain job sectors, particularly within the last years. One of the ones that comes up in the trends, right, as I mentioned earlier, on low-code, no-code platforms is the use of AI as a tool for code developers. I think that's one of the areas that clearly from a private sector perspective, you see rapid adoption. And those implications are not immaterial. And always there are new opportunities that are created once people get reskilled. So I think one response collectively is to ensure that the skills, the capabilities, the literacy for individuals in all sectors of the economy are prioritized. And getting back to the concerns of the digital divide is really investing significant resources on those that are marginalized, under-resourced countries to make sure that there are opportunities and there are ways that they can leverage the technologies. And clearly AI can be used to connect individuals and to coach people up. But that needs to be an intentional policy and collective drive from all stakeholders to make sure that those needs are met.
Thank you very much. I would like to bring in another question, and I think we take one more question from the audience. For the technology services companies, what are the potential opportunities to participate in the growth of the digital economy? Also, is there any specific platform, forum to have information research available towards more lead areas in terms of innovation? It's an interesting question as well. Who would like to answer?
Let me take this maybe.
Thank you very much.
You know, I think it's hard to say as a the generic statement for technology service companies, because there are so many opportunities. I mean, you have to imagine the sector is growing 3 times as fast as the global economy. So the opportunities are growing 3 times as fast as any other sector that you look at. So I think for technology services companies, this is going to be a very good time over the next years with loads of opportunities that I can see. In terms of platforms for needs, for areas, more needs in areas in terms of innovation, I think any type of business fora are always very interesting. You know, if you follow the main event around the technology space, and I'm thinking, you know, in Saudi Arabia, it's for example LEAP, which has been very interesting in terms of showcasing innovation. There are some events also around the Web Summit that showcase a lot of different types of innovations that are ongoing that could become an inspiration for others as well, in order to, you know, develop their own type of innovation. Because innovation always needs to come from within the company and you know, identify your own area for innovation. But there's a lot of events, and I would also claim that the Digital Economy Trends Report is an area where you can get inspiration for innovation and for the next wave of digital services that could be necessary, with a little bit of an application interpretation to your individual context.
Thank you very much. Let me take one more question, because we received many questions, and maybe one more on specifically telecommunication providers. So which are your thoughts about the impact of the current telecommunication providers' financial crisis over the digital economy sustainability? Platforms application based on technologies like AI are increasing the amount of telecommunication providers' capability, technical and financial capability. Mr. William, may I ask you to answer this last question?
You know, one of the foundational sectoral providers within the digital economy are the mobile operators, right? We wouldn't be having this webinar right now if it wasn't for the ongoing rapid innovation from the MNOs and the large carriers. I think one of the things that many people underestimate too is that the innovation that happens within that sector is deep in the plumbing, right? The fact that we're all around the world, we can hear this in real time, and that requires a lot of engineering, a lot of work, that in many times those investments, those protocols, all of that work is just underappreciated. We get spoiled, right? Because all of the sophisticated tools just work seamlessly. I'd also forward the element too that as a utility sector, much like the energy sector, much like, you know, any utility, the telecom adoption of AI will most likely have its initial impact in its own internal operations, right? They're under increasing cost pressure. So how to optimize and to leverage their existing investments, as well as identify new market segments to collaborate. And then I think at the highest order is telco operators are very good at partnering, but you'll find innovative applications where many telco operators are a partner in the solution, but maybe not the brand that you'd recognize. So I think the role of telco providers has probably never been stronger. I can also, as a vet from that sector for years, a lot of the advanced algorithms started in the labs of many of the telco providers too. So there's deep expertise. It doesn't necessarily manifest itself though in the applications that individuals use every day. I think that's where they're great at fostering an ecosystem.
Thank you very much. We are running out of time. We are actually at the end of the webinar, and we had a few more questions that we unfortunately couldn't have the time to answer, but thank you very much for your active participation, our distinguished audience. And with that, I would like to close the webinar, and thank you very much for Dr. Syed, Dr. Margareta, and Mr. William for your insights during the whole webinar and answering the questions. On behalf of the Digital Cooperation Organization and Horizon Group, I would like to thank you all for your participation in this webinar about the Digital Economy Trends 2025 report. We will also, if you haven't had the chance to fill in the questionnaire about the webinar and the report, we'll automatically send you that after the webinar, and we will share. You see also links about the report, and you saw also on the last screen the link to read more about the report, and stay tuned for next year's edition as well. With that, I would like to thank you all for the participation and wish you all the best. Thank you. Goodbye.
Recording.